Weekly cycle. As we have seen already, the process of eXtreme programming is rather iterative. So we have daily cycles, weekly cycles, and quarterly cycles. Let's take a closer look at what happens on a weekly basis in an XP program. So the idea is to actually plan the work a week at a time. Don't plan ahead. Don't plan for the next 3 weeks. Just keep in mind that the work that you are considering, the work that you will be estimating, will have to be done in the time frame of 1 week. An initial meeting should happen in the beginning of the week. The idea is that when starting a cycle, and once you start a cycle, you go up until the end of that cycle, and when the cycle ends and closes, a new cycle begins. The idea is to actually meet at the beginning of each week. In that meeting, the team should revise what has happened in the previous week. So the actual result of what was brought up and was delivered to the customer should be measured against what was expected and what was promised by the team to deliver to the customer. That is to review the progress. After that, the customer should pick the user stories that he wants to get implemented in that week. From that point forward, the idea is for the developers to break each story into several tasks so that it would make the work of each developer easier to sign up and estimate each story and each task. When implementing stories, each story should be complemented with automated tests that will run upon the completion of the stories, and the tests will pass. This is the main idea that is behind the test-driven development approach. The idea is to actually produce the code for the automated tests right from the beginning and from the start, and only after that to actually implement the story. Regarding the major goal of the weekly cycles is to actually deliver software to the customer that is deployable, that works, that runs, and at the end of each week, the team will be very proud of the work that the team has achieved and can actually celebrate the progress. Later, the team will inspect how the work was conducted and will adapt to move forward and to improve the work of the team as a team. Working weekends should not be taken into consideration. It's not sustainable to work the entire week without a break. The idea is to not include Saturdays and Sundays on the estimation that is made. Planning is a sort of necessary waste that will allow the team to provide useful and functioning features to the client. To break stories into tasks or to write small stories, and each team has its own dynamic and each project is different, and all of this should be taken into consideration. So when a team starts working together, it has no team dynamics, but once the team is already known, then people get more experience on using XP. People tend to write the stories always in the same way and with the same granularity. So either if the stories are rather small or are almost epic and then are broken down into tasks, the idea is to as a pair of programmers, sign up for a pile of tasks or for a small story. Regarding the quarterly cycle, that is what happens from 3 to 3 months. The plan is to actually estimate or consider what can be delivered to the customer in that specific quarter. So, once again, do not plan for the future quarters. Do not plan for the entire year. Do not plan for the next 3 quarters. The idea is to actually plan for that quarter and a single quarter at a time. In each quarter, it's possible to identify possible bottlenecks that might be directly connected to the team, to the technology. For instance, it happens quite a lot that there are a couple of platforms that have pre-stipulated and prefixed dates to release new versions of their framework and of their software that usually is used within the work of development teams, and possibly this could be one bottleneck that must be overcome by the team in that quarter. Another important aspect is that quarter planning is usually a very good starting point to initiate possible repairs that need to be done on the product that is being developed. Another thing that usually comes up in the quarter meetings and the quarter plans is the theme of the topic that will be introduced for that quarter, for that period of time. For each quarter, the team should also grab a set of stories and make them achievable in that period of time. This will make the set of stories that the customer will then pick for each week to be accomplished. When talking about a 3-month period, we should be focusing on the big picture, on the end goal of the software product, and not specifically on the details. So you can either call it a quarter, you can call it a season, you can call it a theme period. The idea is to always have a larger and a broader idea of the software product, but once again, do not try to write the entire plan up until the end of the product's life. The 3-month period is usually also a good time to make a break and to actually reflect on what is happening inside the team.